Okay, last question. How do I enroll? And which coverages should I choose? Dare I say this is the fun part, if fun's a relative term. So there are two components of Medicare enrollment. You sign up with the government, that's Medicare itself, and you sign up for additional coverage from a private insurance company. All right, so that's why we determine it as two components. You can technically just get away with the Medicare government portion of coverage, but the vast majority of people like to bolster it with private insurance because Medicare does leave you on the hook for a fair amount of expenses. So enrolling in the government portion, there are three ways to do this. And keep in mind, if you're one of those people who are getting Social Security retirement benefits before age 65, you're going to be automatically enrolled. But for everyone else, you can enroll in three ways, one of three ways once you are ready. The easiest and quickest way is online. The Social Security Administration does Medicare enrollment. So you go to their website and the application is very simple. It takes like 10, 15 minutes at the most, very user-friendly. So just know that I would go there first if I were in your shoes. You could also call Social Security and have someone do it for you. You're not going to be able to do it on the spot, but they'll schedule a phone appointment with you. And then one of their agents will essentially go through the application on their end and just ask you the questions that are on that form that you would have been able to do online yourself. But if you prefer the phone route, you can certainly do that. You can also go in person to your local Social Security office, but I don't need to tell you that you'll probably be subject to wait lines. And if you don't have all the information handy, you may have to come back once you gather it and just kind of that back and forth that can be a bit of a pain. But it's your choice. You got three options to do it. How to enroll in the second component, private insurance coverage. You can do it on your own. Obviously, the internet has allowed all of us pretty much every bit of information we could ever ask for. You can go to Medicare.gov. They have a plan finder tool where you can look up what plans are running, or you can go to individual companies' websites, call them up, that type of thing, and just kind of track it on your own. You can also get help from an agent or broker. So these are folks, if you find a reputable one, who do this every day. They know the ins and outs of plans, how the market is trending, which companies have good customer service, which ones have not so good customer service, things like that. They just got that insider information that comes in handy, frankly, and they'll help you place or help you find a plan that's right for you, and it doesn't cost you anything. And that sounds kind of odd. Well, what's in it for them, right? So here's how this works. If you use an agent or a broker to buy an insurance product, in the health insurance world specifically, they are going to get a commission. The insurance company is going to pay them whatever they decide they want to pay the agent. Now, if you had gone directly to that company and just bought it from them, you're not going to pay any less for it. What insurance companies will do in that case is they'll take that money that they would have paid an agent in commission and just assign it to marketing costs, admin costs, things like that. So it's pretty much, if you find a good agent or broker, I liken it to getting a free CPA to do your taxes. You know, it's super complex. Might as well just have an expert take an extra look at it and just make sure you're taken care of. So you're not having to worry about, did I cover everything? Did I make a mistake? I want to touch real quick before we move on, the difference between an agent and a broker. So this is kind of a technical term. You'll hear people interchange the use of the words. That's a poor way of saying it, but an agent typically is someone who works for one insurance company. They're not allowed to sell competitors' products. So all they can really help you with, or all they really have intimate knowledge about, is that one company's portfolio of products. That can be fine sometimes, but brokers have the advantage of working with several companies, and the more they work with, the more options that you have working with them, obviously. And they really don't have a dog in the fight as to which insurance company that you go with, because they all pay about the same commission, apples to apples with plans. So keep that in mind. As a consumer, working with a broker is to your advantage, let's say. So the options for coverage, generally speaking, there are two options to get your Medicare coverage. And I'm going to use the image of a shopping bag to put in the various components of coverage to arrive at your whole package of health insurance through Medicare. So option one, this is using a Medicare supplement or Medigap policy. You'll hear those two interchange. They mean the same thing. It's just a stylistic difference. So with this arrangement, you're going to have Part A and Part B. That's the government as your insurance company. That's the basis, your foundation of coverage. Then you're going to get a Medicare supplement or a Medigap policy to fill the gaps, like it sounds, that the government doesn't pay for. It's going to fill most of those gaps that you otherwise would have had to pay for with just Part A and Part B. And then you're going to want Part D. D is for prescription drugs, to help cover that, because Part A and Part B don't touch prescription drugs. So all those together are going to give you what is the most comprehensive coverage. It's the more expensive of the two options, but you get the flexibility of seeing any doctor or healthcare provider in the U.S. that accepts Medicare. You're not going to have to get the insurance company's permission to go see this person or get this treatment, that kind of thing. If they accept Medicare, if the treatment or service they're giving you is accepted by Medicare, you got it. And most of your share of costs, like I mentioned a second ago, is going to be covered. Your out-of-pocket exposure, as we like to say, is very, very low, a couple $100 a year, which is pretty fantastic. To give you an idea, if you don't know, the typical health insurance plan outside of Medicare, your out-of-pocket exposure, it can sometimes exceed $10,000, $15,000 a year. So to make that way down to a couple $100 is pretty nice. You do pay for it, of course. You get what you pay for, just like everything. It's roughly double the cost of option two, which I'll go over here in a second. Option two is Medicare Advantage. You'll also see this called Part C. Again, those are interchangeable. They mean the exact same thing. The pros of Medicare Advantage: they're almost always going to have lower monthly premiums than option one, than the supplement route. And you'll have extra benefits most of the time, like dental and vision care. It's not the most stellar coverage, but hey, it's at least something. And a lot of people like having that extra gravy on top, let's call it. The cons of this: you're going to have network restrictions. You're going to have to get referrals, pre-authorizations. Basically, the insurance company is much more in control of your care than if you had gone with option one. A couple other things to consider: your share of cost could be pretty significant, up to $75.50 a year. That goes up a little bit. That's the maximum allowed amount by Medicare. But that's not an insignificant number. And plans tend to change quite a bit every year. The plan you have may work with your doctor one year and not the next, or vice versa. So you really have to stay on top of it and make sure that every year you're in the plan that is best for you if you go the Medicare Advantage route. I want to touch really quickly before we move on how Medicare Advantage plans work kind of in the background. This is not to poo-poo anything or anyone. I just want to tell you how it works. So when you choose Medicare Advantage, if you choose it, the government, who had your risk, has the financial risk of covering you for health insurance. They transfer your risk to the Medicare Advantage insurance company that you chose, and they write them a check every month for the trouble. So the insurance company that you chose is getting a check, so to speak, from the government every month, and then it's up to them to insure you and make sure you stay happy and get taken care of without losing money. So that's basically how it works. Just want to let you know that. And that explains a lot of why Medicare Advantage plans act the way they do, why you may hear some folks not like it, prefer option one. A lot of people are more than happy with Medicare Advantage. They're not super picky about, who their doctors are, what coverage they get, and they enjoy the savings for that trade-off. All right, I alluded to this a little bit throughout the course, but want to make sure that this is clear. Medicare does not cover these three large topics of care. So elective surgery, think plastic surgery, anything cosmetic. If it's not medically necessary, generally speaking, Medicare is not going to cover it. Medically necessary as a term, it's kind of a gray area as far as what the definition is. But think of it this way. If it is life or death, then it's medically necessary. If it is something that's going to keep your quality of life at what it should be, not necessarily, exceed it for some arbitrary purpose, then it's medically necessary. Routine dental, vision, and hearing care. So exams, cleanings, contacts, glasses, hearing aids. Medicare doesn't cover any of that. So if you've got something that's a medical need, like you have an injury to your eye or to your teeth or mouth, then Medicare is likely going to cover care for that, but the routine stuff is not covered. So you can either purchase a plan separate from all of what we've talked about that covers all these things, or you can just pay cash. Some people prefer one way, some people prefer the other. Just make sure that you plan financially for whatever route you take. And then long-term care. So nursing homes is the easiest way to describe this, or in-home, overnight 24-hour care or extended care within the home. That's not going to be covered by Medicare. You're going to have a little bit of help from Medicare with recovery from a surgery or an injury, that type of thing. But long-term care, that's on you.